Hello, friends. Today, again, a very uh, important short story written by Lew Tolstoy, Count Lew Nikolaevich Tolstoy. So, he was a Russian writer, as all of you know, a playwright and a philosopher. A so-called spiritual awakening in 1870. He became known as a social reformer and a moral thinker. Tolstoy is the author of epic novel War and Peace, Anna Karenina, and is widely considered one of the world's greatest and widely read novelists. So, in fact, his writing in this area have influenced quite a few of our 20th century figures, such as Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr., those who were famous for their views on peace, civil right, and non-violent civil disobedience. The Imp and the Crust. And today, the short story which I'm going to tell you about is The Imp and the Crust. It is a short story published in 1886, a short story about the base nature of man or a human being, as the way they can be led astray by temptation. A peasant goes to a work to plow the field every day, and each day he brings a crust of bread with him to eat later in the day. He places the bread under his coat and is surprised to find it gone when he returns. He is confused because he is absolutely certain that no person was in the vicinity of his belongings. Where did the crust of bread go? It was an imp who had stolen the bread while the peasant was plowing, and at that moment he was sitting behind the bush, waiting to hear the peasant swear and sell on the devil and call on the devil. The peasant, however, wasn't really upset, and he didn't call upon the devil. Instead, he pondered upon the fact that somebody probably needed that piece of crust more than he did. Someone who was really hungry. He then went back to his arduous work for plowing the field. The imp was crestfallen at not having made the peasant sin, and he went to report what had happened to the devil, to his chief master, the devil, his master. The devil shouted that the imp wasn't trying hard enough to make the peasant sin and give him an ultimatum. If in 3 years you don't get the better of that peasant, I will have you ducked in holy water. The imp devised a plan and returned to the peasant as a laborer, then proceeded to give him bad advice. The first year he advised him to plant his seeds and the potential crop in marshy places. The year turned out to be a very dry one, and the crops of the other peasant were all scorched by the sun, but the poor peasant's corn grew thick and tall and full-eared. Not only had he grain enough to last him for the whole year, but he had much left over beside. The second year, he told him to sow on the top of the hill during a wet summer, and once again the peasant retained a good crop with more left over than he needed to keep himself and his family happy. Then the imp showed the peasant how he could mash the grain and distill spirit over from it. And the peasant made strong drink and began to drink it himself and to give it to his friends. The imp went to his master and told him he had succeeded and invited him to come and look, to watch the man as they lost control and started to become more boisterous the more they drank. The peasant was angry and scolded his wife. "What did you mean, you slut? Do you think it's ditch water, you cripple, that you must go pouring good stuff like that over the floor?" The imp nudged the devil, his master, with his elbow. "See," said he, "that's the man who did not grudge his last crust." The devil was pleased by the change in the peasant, albeit a negative one. The pleasant, helpful, and generous man seems to have become and drunk with no control over his mouth. "If," said he, "the drink makes them so foxy that they begin to cheat each other, they will soon all be in our hands." One drink after the other, the man became more unruly, started to snort at each other, then began to brawl like animals. The devil was pleased by his portrayal of brute force and lack of control. He asked the imp how he had made this drink. "You must first have put in fox blood. That was what made the peasants sly as foxes. Then I suppose you added wolf's blood. That is what made him fierce like wolves. And you must have finished off with swine's blood to make them behave like swine." The imp shook his head and smiled. "Unfortunately, man is much more simple to lead astray. The base instinct of man is that of an animal. All I did was to see that the peasant had more corn than he needed. The blood of the beast is always in the man, but as long as he has only enough corn for his needs, it kept in bonds. While that was the case, the peasant did not grudge his last crust, but when he had corn left over, he looked for ways of getting pleasure out of it, and I showed him a pleasure drinking. When he began to turn God's gift into a spirit for his own pleasure, the fox, wolf, and swine blood in him all came out. If only he goes on drinking, he will be a beast." This short story would have without a doubt pleased the temperance movement a lot. It speaks to the weakness of man, the dangers of drink, and the seduction of liquid devil. Give man enough rope and he will hang himself. Shower him with riches, and instead of doing good unto other, he will look to please himself even more and feed his greed. One of the Tolstoy's shortest piece of work, but still as poignant as the rest of his writing. So, ladies and gentlemen, this short story, I hope you will enjoy. You had enjoyed a very important topic, The Imp and the Crust by Lev Nikolavich Tolstoy. I hope you will enjoy this short story when you read it in detail. Thank you very much.